Thank you. Everyone can now be seated. Southern Utah University is honored to have you be part of our 118th annual commencement activities. The university is proud to host a number of special guests for this year's program. Please stand as your name is read and remain standing. Those seated on the platform today include our distinguished honorees, Bob Schieffer, Richard E. Kendell, Carole Mikita, and Bill Marcroft. From the Utah State Board of Regents, Nina Barnes, Mark Stoddard, and Wilfred Clyde. Representing the Commissioner of Higher Education, Kimberly Henry. Southern Utah University President, Scott L. Wyatt. From the SUU Board of Trustees, Chair Eric Levitt, Vice Chair Sherry Hansen, Matt Cannon, Tyler Cornea, Hayden Carroll, Dr. Shannon Delaney, Marshall Erb, and Scott Johnson, along with new appointees, Jody Hart-Wilson and Michael Wanker. From the Utah State Legislature, Senator Jerry Stevenson and Representative John Westwood. Representing Cedar City, Mayor Miley Wilson. We're privileged to host SUU President Emeritus, Dr. Stephen D. Benyon. Today's Marshal, who led the processional with the SUU Mace, is Dr. Art Chalice, Professor of Communication. Next, administrative officers of the university are on the dais today. President's Council members, Provost Brad Cook, Anne-Marie Allen, Mindy Benson, Jason Bidikofer, Marvin Dodge, Stuart Jones, Dr. Jared Tippett, Dr. Bruce Howard, President of the Faculty Senate, and Barbara Rodriguez, President of the Staff Association. Representing the Provost's office is Dr. James Sage. We have the 2017 valedictorian, Caitlin Yoakum. Participating in the program today will be Pastor Jonathan Holloman and student speaker Sara Ludlow. We welcome the deans of each college, Dr. Sean Christiansen, Dr. Patrick Clark, Dr. Robert Eves, Dr. James McDonald, Dean Shauna Mendini, Dr. Richard Saunders, Dr. Carl Templin, and Dr. Mark Atkinson. Ben Kaufman, Principal of Success Academy, and Brennan Wood, Executive Director of Southwest Technology College. Finally, the 3 ROTC cadets who will be commissioned in this ceremony today, Jessica Pullen, Danae Upshaw, and Sky McMahon. The names of additional board members can be found on page 11 in your program. Please join in welcoming all of these distinguished guests to SU's 118th commencement ceremony. We ask that all now arise as we take this time to honor our country. The posting of the colors will be completed by the SUU Army ROTC, and then the national anthem will be performed by Maddie Elgin, music and vocal performance major from Las Vegas, Nevada, and Jocelyn Taylor, music and vocal performance major from Kimberly, Idaho.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. On the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night
Thank you. Please be seated. Today's processional music, the Washington Post and the Liberty Bell by John Philip Sousa, was presented by the SUU Wind Symphony, conducted by Dr. Adam Lambert. This meeting will now be opened by Jonathan Holloman, Lecturer of Communication and Associate Pastor at the True Life Center in Cedar City.
Let's bow in prayer. Heavenly Father, we are so thankful for this moment. We are thankful for these graduating students. We are thankful for this time of celebration. Lord, we are here today filled with gratitude. We are grateful for your hand of guidance through the years that it took to bring us to this moment. We are grateful for the hard work and the perseverance that these students have put into their academic journey. We are grateful for the constant support and love their families have shown. It is with gratitude that we say thanks for professors and staff and administrators who have challenged and cared for and crafted our students along their journey. Lord, I pray that you give our students clear direction and wisdom regarding their future. Give them patience as they approach their new responsibilities and careers, and give them courage to face the challenges that come their way. I pray that you will give them direction, purpose, and perseverance as they enter this next phase of their life. Grant them success in their efforts at every turn, and may our students be the ones who enliven hope in this world. As this celebration continues this morning, may we not forget your hand of mercy upon us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please welcome to the podium President Scott L. Wyatt, the 16th President of Southern Utah University, who is presiding over these commencement exercises today.
Good morning. We decided to keep the weather just cold enough so that your leis wouldn't wither. But I've got great news. It's snowing on the valley floor in Salt Lake City right now, and it's bright and sunny here. But hold on, I don't know which direction that weather's going. Well, welcome honored guests, faculty, staff, parents, spouses, children, other relatives, friends, especially the members of the graduating class of Southern Utah University. Welcome. It is our singular honor to be with you here today. A special thanks to Dr. Adam Lambert for the beautiful processional music, Maddie Elgin and Jocelyn Taylor for the national anthem, and Jonathan Holman for opening these morning's proceedings. We are thrilled to recognize 1,925 candidates for graduation. That's 213 more than last year. $408 master's degrees, 1,130 bachelor's degrees, 371 associate degrees, and 16 certificates. Our 118th graduating class includes students from 16 different countries and 36 different states. Our youngest graduate today is 17 years old. And our oldest, 63. And this is Utah. There are 60 married couples graduating together. Thanks for toughing it out as a team. You can read more about this class on page 21 of your program. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you our university's valedictorian, Caitlin Yoakum from Las Vegas, Nevada. Caitlin, will you stand? As a valedictorian, Caitlin is well seasoned. 3 years ago, she earned the same recognition at Shadow Ridge High School. Through all of her exceptional work, discipline, time management, work ethic, she attained this success here at Southern Utah University in 3 years. Some of you took more than that. Don't feel bad, so did I. Caitlin is now taking her new finance degree to the bank. She's obtained a job as a financial analyst at the American multinational finance company, Goldman Sachs. She interviewed the first week of spring semester and was happy to be immediately notified of her future position. Please join me in offering Caitlin Yoakum hearty congratulations. Okay. Many people have dedicated their lives to Southern Utah University and to your individual successes. This is an outstanding university with exceptional people. We had the chance to host the governor and more than 80% of the Utah legislature on our campus 2 weeks ago. I'd like to tell you 2 things that they learned about you and this school. Over the last 2 years, the total budget-related student enrollments at all of the 8 colleges and universities in Utah grew by an average of 3.3% over the 2 years. But here at Southern Utah University, we grew 25.4%. This is a happening place and a lot of excitement. And not only are you students coming here in increasing numbers, but you are succeeding at higher rates. You, our students at Southern Utah University, have the highest graduation rate. That is, the largest percentage of you graduate on time. Southern Utah University has the highest graduation rate among all public regional universities in the 8 Intermountain West states. In fact, it is 50% better than average. Let me put a fine point on this. Of the graduates today, 1,501 are completing bachelor's or associate degrees. If the graduation rate at Southern Utah University happened to be the same as the average rate amongst our sister regional universities, instead of 1,501 of you celebrating accomplishments today, it would be more like 960. A full 541, more than a third of you would not have made it. This is not happenstance. The faculty and staff here are simply working hard, doing the right things, and helping you reach your successful goals. This university is a place that puts your success first. I would like to invite all of the faculty and staff of Southern Utah University to please stand and be recognized. Kathy and I, my wife and I, had the privilege to host a dinner last evening in the Great Hall where we recognized 17 of our distinguished faculty and staff. You can find their pictures and a great biographical sketch of each of these on your programs on page 12 and 13, and then also on pages 40 through 45. I hope that sometime today you take a minute to look at these wonderful people who exemplify the staff and faculty here and have been so helpful to you. I would like to invite these recognized staff and faculty members to please stand and receive our appreciation. At this time, we're honored to commission our new officers in the Army ROTC program. To do this, I will invite Dr. Carole Templin, Dean of the School of Business, and Lieutenant Colonel retired to come forward and administer the oath. As Dean Templin joins me here on the stand, I would like to ask every woman and man who has ever put on a uniform in the service of our country to please stand and be recognized. Following this commissioning, we will be pleased to hear a musical selection, Consecrate the Place and Day by Lord Fouch, performed by Opus Chamber Choir and also by the Concert Choir, conducted by Dr. Stephen Meredith. Dean Templin.
Southern Utah University's Army ROTC program has commissioned over 130 officers since its establishment at this school in 1989. Upon completion of all requirements to receive a commission as an officer, each new second lieutenant swears an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Today, this year's newly commissioned lieutenants will have their oath of office re-administered. Please come forward. I state your name.
I, Jessica Elaine Poland,
Having been commissioned an officer
having been commissioned an officer
in the Army of the United States
in the Army of the United States
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office upon which I am about to enter.
upon the office of which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Consecrate the place and day to music and Cecilia. Consecrate the place and day to music and Cecilia. Consecrate the place and day. Let no wrong winds of
class of 2017 will now be represented by Sara Ludlow from St. George, Utah. Sara is graduating magna cum laude with a degree in human nutrition pre-dietetics. Sara is 20 and completed college in 2.5 years. Speaking of her Southern Utah University experience, she says, I was accepted into BYU, the University of Utah, the Pratt Institute in New York City, and various other institutions, but I chose to come to SUU. I love this school, and my time here has been nothing short of perfect. Sara will be moving to Chicago to pursue a career in film writing, acting. Sara.
Good morning. I look out at everyone today, and to say that I'm overwhelmed would be an overwhelming understatement. We have scientists, educators, musicians, business people, actresses and actors, and so much more, all under this one roof. I'm certain that sitting somewhere in this room is a future high-profile politician, the good kind. A doctor who will work to cure cancer, and a movie star. And this room is filled to the brim with brilliant minds, and the passion and motivation truly is palpable. We are united by our pursuit of knowledge and of this institution of which we are all a part, Southern Utah University. I used to believe that today was the reward for our years of hard work and sleep deprivation, of high stress levels and the resulting acne. Then, reality hit. Graduation is not the reward. A 2-hour ceremony in an overcrowded building dressed in medieval garb is supposedly the crowning glory for our years of laborious work. No, today is merely a checkpoint of sorts, a time for us to breathe a moment before we enter the next phase. Today is the threshold marking our transition into the real world. So what then is our reward? That, my friends, comes tomorrow, and the next day, and all the days to come. Our reward is walking confidently into a job interview. It is the warm memories that will keep us warm years from now, as we inevitably encounter hard times. Our reward, my fellow graduates, is the wisdom we gathered in the individuals permanently impressed upon our souls. Our reward, or at least mine, is the liberty and the opportunity of tomorrow. In 15 hours, I will be boarding a flight to Chicago. In 24 hours, I will begin my training at Improv Olympic, a studio producing the likes of Tina Fey, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, and various others. Today, I am graduating with a degree in human nutrition. Friends and family are wondering at this point why I decided to study nutrition. Or they ask, did you really need to go to college if you were just going to go off and become a comedian? My response is absolutely. One of the greatest minds our world has known is quoted saying, education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. Albert Einstein. Our education here at SUU extends far beyond learning how to calculate someone's BMI or the difference between a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. It comes from the values and the experiences that shaped our character and aspirations. We gained an invaluable education during our time here that extends far beyond the walls of the classroom. And I know that we would not feel as confident taking these steps into the unknown without our college experience. As aforementioned, I will be studying improv in Chicago. And believe it or not, improvisation has some distinct rules. Considering that life in itself is an improvisation, I think these rules can apply to all of us as we embark on our next adventures. And with that, allow me to share. Number one, don't just say yes and. First, make sure your mind is open enough to agree, but don't just stop there. Contribute. We have a responsibility to do this, to contribute, so don't be afraid to do so. Your thoughts and initiatives have merit. You have merit. Say yes and. Number two, make statements. You don't want to be that person always pointing out the obstacles and the shortcomings. In the words of my personal hero, Tina Fey, whatever the problem, be a part of the solution, end quote. Use a skeptical eye and notice points of error, but then move on. Provide suggestions, make declarations. And if you mess up and make the wrong call, well, that just leads us to the next rule. Number 3, there are no mistakes, only opportunities. Fact, chocolate chip cookies, penicillin, and silly putty, these were all products of mistakes made opportune. Number 4, we are all supporting actors. If we are all focusing on helping our neighbor and utilizing our talents to be an integral part of a bigger picture, I assure you this world will be a much better place. Number 5, trust. In the world of improv, you are trusting your fellow actors to support you, that they will come through for you if you lay something heavy on them. Likewise, in our real-time improvisation, you must trust your people. And if you don't, well, assess your life and find new people. Last but not least, number 6, listen. To quote the great Jimi Hendrix, knowledge speaks, wisdom listens. I challenge us all to listen to our surroundings. Listen to understand, not to respond. In doing so, our ability to contribute will be magnified tenfold. Basically, what I'm saying in all of this is to be an active participant in your life. The diploma we are earning today is not a ticket to Easy Street, but honestly, probably the opposite, and we are going to have to improvise. Whatever you do, do it with intention. We have all the tools we need, an informed mind and an impassioned heart, and as cliche as it may sound, the possibilities truly are endless. The world we are entering is crazy, like real science fiction style crazy, but it needs us. Given, we'll probably just add to that crazy, but it'll be our own special brand, and I know that I personally plan to move mountains with it. Today, as we sport these caps and gowns that not even Beyonce could rock, we are caused to reflect on everything that's led up to this moment. I personally think back to my first day of college. I listened to angsty punk music while I did my makeup in an attempt to build my confidence. And I attended the first class of my whole college career with the human who has since become my very best friend. We have all come a very long way. It is our choices that show us what we truly are far more than our abilities. Thank you, Dumbledore. We can choose. We are the captains of our destinies, and we have the power to choose love, success, peace, and happiness. And today, I wish each and every one of you just that. May your futures be bright and your days be kind. May we all do our part to contribute positively to this grand improvisation called life. May we see the world around us and live with intention and integrity. And with that, I offer my congratulations. All the love, class of 2017.
Thank you, Sara, for that wonderful message. I think she threw down the gauntlet in 2 hours, right? So we're going to beat that. In public recognition of distinctive contributions, Southern Utah University confers honorary doctorate degrees upon those individuals who have been recommended by the Southern Utah University Board of Trustees under authorization of the Utah State Board of Regents. Today we honor 4 individuals: Bill Marcroft, Carole Mikita, Richard Kendell, and Bob Schieffer. Let me begin. Let us begin with sportscaster Bill Marcroft. Bill became a beloved household name in Utah by virtue of a warm and hearty manner of informing and involving KUTV viewers and call radio listeners. And furthermore, he dramatically advanced the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University, of which we're very grateful. Let's watch a short little video about Bill Marcroft.
Choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. That oft-quoted advice is cheerily and profoundly embodied in William Logan Marcroft, known to one and all as Bill, who has ever worn the joy of his job as prominently as he has the red of his beloved University of Utah. On television and radio, he has long entertained and edified Utahns with his genuine good humor and analytical eye on sports, not to mention his hearty voice. Southern Utah, SUU, and in particular, the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games have been significantly buoyed by his labors. Among the most powerful proponents of the Games, he served as their voice for 34 years before retiring last year and was instrumental in making KUTV the Games media sponsor. His work in advancing the statewide sports festival aided immensely in increasing the stature of the university and invigorating the economy of our region. Importantly, along the way in his 64-year broadcast career, he inspired and set the standard for new generations of sports reporters with his professionalism and winning manner. Born during the Depression in Salt Lake City, Bill nevertheless enjoyed a gleeful youth, hunting, fishing, playing sports, and engaging in monumental BB gun wars. But as he grew, the great passion of his life was performing, and, it might be said, he has never stopped performing. In that vein, Utah might have been deprived of his unique work had his future plans succeeded, when a 1956 opportunity to audition for the famed Actors Studio in New York was thwarted due to no fault of his own. His earlier experiences in the theater began in grammar school and continued through a string of starring roles on the South High School stage. Impressively, he appeared in Macbeth at Pioneer Memorial Theater with no less a star than Orson Welles, and acted with Vincent Price as well. Bill graduated from the U in 1952 with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in theater, and then joined the Air Force, where he was well served by his student work in radio and television production at the U. He managed the stations of Wheelus Air Base in Tripoli in the Kingdom of Libya during the momentous development of that nation. He and his wife Joyce and daughter Manette were immersed in the newsworthy events in, as they say, an up-close and personal way, and he gained invaluable experience, earning praise from the likes of journalistic giant Edward R. Murrow. Following his Air Force stint, Bill started work on a master's degree at the U and entered the Salt Lake television market, serving all 3 network affiliates in town simultaneously before landing full-time at Channel 2. He earned national plaudits for his on-the-spot coverage of a 1965 crash of a 727 at the Salt Lake Airport, but by the next year had gravitated to the sports desk. He also did color commentary for Utah games before taking over the play-by-play duties in 1969, eventually calling 440 Utah football games and 1,088 basketball games. His final call as the voice of the Utes was the 2005 Fiesta Bowl, and the close of that career was sparked only by the change of the station contracted to cover the U. During those years as sports director of Channel 2 and Call Radio, Bill served as witness to countless athletic centerpieces and immortals and was seldom at home, as he covered beats and announced for such teams as the Utah Stars of the American Basketball Association. He hosted coaches' shows not only at the U, but also at USU and Weber State. He worked 7 days a week for most of his career, and the list of firsts he turned in during the development of television is noteworthy. Today, Bill stays active with U of U sports as he provides Marcroft Memories, a staple of the Utah football pregame shows. He enjoys spending time with his family. He enjoys our parents to 3 and grandparents to 6, and he plays golf, reads, and is active in many civic causes. He has been enshrined in virtually every sports hall of fame in the state, including that of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games, and in a variety of non-sports halls as well. The list of his charitable work is lengthy and admirable, including his decades-long tenure as Master of Ceremonies for the MS Dinner of Champions. for his unfailingly enthusiastic approach to a job that has positively affected millions of viewers and listeners, and for his exceptional contributions to Southern Utah from our state's capital, William Logan Marcroft is hereby awarded the Doctorate of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Now joining President Wyatt in the hooding of Bill Marcroft are SUU trustees Marshall Erb and Matt Cannon and Vice President Mindy Benson.
Carole Mikita has been a welcome presence on the Utah airways for some 38 years, as she has delivered news as a reporter and anchor for KSL and is specialized in the arts and religion, greatly helping to magnify the quality of our lives. Let's watch this video.
Carole Mikita has been for nearly 40 years a warm and vibrant presence on the Utah airwaves in a variety of roles for KSL News, including every anchor spot. And over that span, she has ever been a champion of the arts and a font of religious information and analysis. A familiar chronicler and connoisseur of all Utah arts, including those on our campus and community, she has contributed mightily to the cultural life of our region and, by extension, to its growth and development. She was born and raised in Steubenville, Ohio, by intelligent and committed parents who dynamically encouraged their 4 children to immerse themselves in the arts and to be fully aware citizens. Thus, dinners at the Mikita home were always a time for meaningful discussion, and Carole, the eldest child, found the site to be a valuable training table. Additionally, the family traveled extensively in her youth and partook of a wide variety of cultural opportunities. She graduated from the prestigious Baldwin School in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia, where she took advantage of small and stimulating classes that offered an individualized education. There, and at The Ohio State University, she was active in the arts and had in mind a career on the stages of Broadway. As she earned her bachelor's degree in theater, she wisely gauged her chances in such a career and noted that many of her fellow theater majors had failed in that pursuit. Her thoughts, valid or not, were that some who did not succeed were more talented than she, and so Carole determined to have a plan B and took additional courses in writing and reporting at OSU. If she couldn't earn a living by performing in the arts, then perhaps she might find her niche in covering them. Her first job was with the local Steubenville television station, where she read the news and added her own feature stories. She then moved on to WPGH in Pittsburgh, where she further honed her craft as the nighttime news anchor at the small independent station. In 1979, she came west to visit her brother Stephen, who was attending law school at BYU on his way to a career that continues to this day as an assistant attorney general for Utah. Deciding she liked it in the Beehive State, she was hired as a general assignment reporter for KSL. She claims with characteristic humility that her new employers perhaps placed more value on her journalistic background than was warranted, but her work strengthened as she gained the requisite experience. Not long after her start here, the station instituted its new specialist format, and she was awarded the Arts Beat, a natural for her, and she has ever marveled at the state's long-held dedication to the expression of human creativity and imagination. Carole went on to become a KSL fixture, anchoring all the newscasts at one time or another, including several years on the flagship 10 p.m. slot. Her arts reporting over the years has been encyclopedic and has included extensive coverage of the Utah Symphony, Ballet West, the Sundance Film Festival, the Utah Opera, and of course, the Utah Shakespeare Festival. She retired in 2013 from full-time duties, but continues to regularly create stories on the arts and on religion, and does so inspirationally. Her role as religion reporter, which she accepted in 1998, has broadened her outlook on the world, as she has worked diligently, traveling the globe with photographers in tow, gathering, producing, writing, and hosting scores of documentaries for KSL television programming. This work has related to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and other bodies of faith, including packages that air twice a year during LDS General Conference. Also, for several years, she produced and hosted a weekly radio program, People of Faith, for KSL Radio. She has won a bevy of awards for her work, including an Emmy, and her civic contributions have for decades been unflagging. Among them are her more than 20 years of hosting the Primary Children's Medical Center Telethon. Also, perhaps providentially and by virtue of her fallback profession, Carole has had the opportunity to act in 4 movies filmed in our state, portraying, of course, a journalist. She and her husband, Neil York, an American history professor at BYU for some 4 decades, live in South Salt Lake County. They have 2 daughters and 3 grandchildren. For Carole Mikita's manifold contributions to the quality of life in Utah, and for the humanity and goodwill she evinces through her talent as a storyteller, it is with pride that Southern Utah University today awards her the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. Now joining President Wyatt in the hooding of Carole Mikita are SU trustees Sherry Hansen and Scott Johnson and Vice President Jared Tippett.
Richard Kendell has an educational resume that can match few in Utah or elsewhere, as he served our state's students inspirationally on every level for more than 50 years, including an influential term as interim president of this university. Please give your attention to the screen for this video.
Although Richard E. Kendall's tenure as interim president of Southern Utah University lasted less than a mere 6 months, he nevertheless serves as a supreme personification of the institution's motto, "Learning lives forever." He has conspicuously exhibited that precept throughout his life. Building on his own education, Rich's deep commitment to the process was forged by a number of highly significant and transformational positions in our state that distinguished him as a visionary leader whose decades of influence have extended far beyond the boundaries of this university. And unsurprisingly, he continues today as both a learner and a teacher, and as a champion of education. Born in working-class Ogden, Utah in 1943, his youth, like that of most of his friends of that time and place, revolved around family, school, church, and employment. At the age of 14, Rich threw himself into a succession of jobs, including cannery work, retail clerking, construction, and even a stint on a hotshot crew fighting forest fires. At the same time, he reveled in schoolwork and its experiences. Indeed, he says, he loved everything about school and is proud of the fact that he can recall the name of every teacher he has had in his life. He was elected student body president in his senior year at Ogden High School and went on to study locally at Weber State. After serving an LDS mission in Scotland, he returned to finish work on his bachelor's degree in English, which he taught for a year at his high school alma mater. Subsequently armed with a fellowship through the National Defense Education Act, he earned master's and doctoral degrees at the University of Utah. What followed was one of the truly bright careers in Utah educational annals. He served as a faculty member and associate dean in 2 colleges at the U and went on to a 10-year leadership of the Davis School District, for which he was named the state's top superintendent. Striking was his work in pulling the district from an inherited bankruptcy and establishing the critically needed Northridge High School from conception to financing to completion in 3 years. He went on to become the state's associate superintendent of public instruction and later served as a trusted deputy to Governor Mike Leavitt, helping to initiate 6 early college high schools via the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He also assisted with developing supportive charter school legislation. In 2003, he was named Utah's Commissioner of Higher Education and served 4 years. Among his accomplishments are U-Star legislation, the creation of the K-16 Alliance, and the development of the Regents Scholarship, which has aided thousands of students since its institution. After he and his wife Joan served an LDS mission, Rich accepted the interim presidency of SUU, which he held from July 2013 until mid-January of the following year. He determined not to coast through that time, but to strengthen the university. He did not fail in that desire and won respect and admiration from all corners of campus, just as he developed a love of the institution and its spirit. He has, over his career, been the subject of sincere celebration, including earning the G. Homer Durham Regents Professorship and the endowment of the SUU Richard E. Kendell Chair in Education. In public education, the Davis School District named its administration building in his honor. He has ever been admired for his forthrightness and integrity, and lauded for his academic expertise and management capabilities. He has also served as executive director of the Utah Partnership for Education and has thrived in private industry as research and development director for YCAT Educational Systems and as project manager for hospital and healthcare facilities for the Boyer Company. Today, he dedicates much of his time to building relationships with his 15 grandchildren, and none who know him would be surprised to learn that Rich learns with them and teaches them in ways both great and small, in locales both near and distant. Moreover, he continues to improve education on a statewide level today as one of the leaders of Education First, a state PAC dedicated to improved accountability, innovation, and investment for education. And he helps steer Our Schools Now, an initiative to give Utah voters the opportunity to participate in the critical questions of how we are to invest in the continued improvement of our schools. Through a lifetime of singular service to education on many levels in our state, Richard E. Kendell has greatly earned our acclaim and our gratitude, and it is with pride that Southern Utah University confers upon him the degree of Doctor of Public Administration, honoris causa.
Now joining President Wyatt in the hooding of Richard Kendell are SU trustees Shannon Delaney and Tyler Cornea and Vice President Stuart Jones.
And last but not least, Bob Schieffer fashioned a renowned and stellar career of a half-century in broadcast journalism for CBS News. His service has been marked by trust and respect as he faithfully upheld his singular value: he was not the story.
Were it in his nature, Bob Schieffer could quite justifiably accept the mantle of America's most wise and trusted television journalist. But of course, any such admission by Bob would be unimaginable, a complete and ironic contradiction in character. It is that very character, marked by modesty, equanimity, and fairness, that sets him apart and has won him universal respect and acclaim over his 6 decades as a thoughtful and well-prepared reporter, interviewer, and analyst. He's admired for his folksy Texas charm and conversational style, and for his poise in the face of provocation. Even so, his assiduous pursuit of truth may well be his greatest attribute. It has made him, quite certainly, the dean of his craft. Bob Lloyd Schieffer was born in Austin, Texas in 1937, and rodeos and baseball swayed his youth. However, he was terrifically enlivened to see his first byline as an 8th grade writer for his school paper in Fort Worth. And while still a student, his first job was as a local radio station newsman for $1 an hour. Despite his mother's hope that he'd be a physician, he would go on to a 60-year journalistic career that continues with distinction even today, and he admits gratitude for the experiences the profession has accorded him. Bob Schieffer loves journalism. He's had fun and advises all to seek a job that provides that component. He is one of but a few journalists who have covered all 4 of the major Washington national assignments: the White House, Pentagon, Department of State, and Congress. And in his 48 years with CBS News, he has focused almost exclusively on national politics. He has interviewed the last 9 presidents and most who sought the office, and he skillfully moderated presidential debates in 3 elections. After graduating from Texas Christian University in 1959, Bob served in the U.S. Air Force as a public information officer before joining the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Among hundreds of assignments, he was the first Texas newspaper journalist to report from Vietnam. An early career highlight came a few hours after President Kennedy was assassinated, when Bob took a newsroom call from a woman seeking a ride to Dallas, the scene of the appalling crime. It was Marguerite Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald's mother, whom he interviewed while shepherding her to the police station that held her son. He spent the next several hours there taking advantage of assumptions, likely due to the snap-brim hat he sported, that he was a detective. Granted access to an office with Oswald's mother and wife, Marina, he surreptitiously called in his exclusive information and dispatches from other Star-Telegram reporters in the building. He later anchored at the newspaper's television station before his 1969 move to CBS. Thereafter, he served 20 years as anchor of the Saturday edition of CBS Evening News, as well as chief Washington correspondent, and for 24 years was moderator of the Sunday morning public affairs program Face the Nation. He retired as host in 2015, topping the ratings in each of his final 4 years. Additionally, he was interim weekday anchor of the CBS Evening News for 18 months following Dan Rather's retirement. He has continued to work for CBS as a valued contributor, including political commentary on the 2016 presidential election and pieces for the popular CBS Sunday morning show. He is the author of 4 best-selling books and the podcast Bob Schieffer's About the News. Absent ego and pretension, Bob has accumulated a grand trove of honors. TCU named its journalism school for him, and later commissioned its encompassing college, the Bob Schieffer College of Communication. He has won virtually every award in broadcasting journalism, including 8 Emmys. A member of several halls of fame, he has also been named a living legend by the Library of Congress. Yet, he has been known to attend black-tie Washington galas wearing a cowboy belt buckle. Now that his calendar is somewhat more open, he pursues painting as well as songwriting and singing. He collaborates with musicians in New York and Washington, D.C., works with the D.C. area band, Honky Tonk Confidential, and even joined Brad Paisley and Trisha Yearwood in vocals at the Grand Ole Opry. Of course, he also greatly relishes spending more time with family. He and his wife Pat last month celebrated their golden anniversary, in itself worthy of kudos. They are parents to 2 daughters and have 3 granddaughters. For his remarkable and lasting contributions to an imperative element of the American life force, and for the stellar example he has set for so many, Bob Lloyd Schieffer has ever proven himself worthy of singular celebration. Today, it is with abundant appreciation that Southern Utah University confers upon him the doctoral degree in public service honoris causa. Now joining President Wyatt in the hooding of Bob Schieffer are SU Trustees Chair Eric Levitt and Vice Chair Sherry Hansen and Provost Bradley J. Cook.
As you have seen and heard, Bob Schieffer is a remarkable man. He's interviewed every president of the United States since Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon, for those of you who don't know, is a president that was president 20 years before you were born. For some of you. He is one of America's most distinguished and celebrated journalists, and we're thrilled to have him on our campus today. It is now my distinct honor to introduce to you Bob Schieffer as our 2017 commencement speaker.
Thank you so much. Wow. Well, I got to tell you, I was just sitting there watching that little tape. I really liked it. No, I tell you, I was just totally overwhelmed. That is such a nice thing, and it is such a wonderful honor to be here today with you all. But this graduation day is not about the people who get the honorary degrees. This graduation day is about the people who earned them right here, and we want to congratulate all of you. This is your day. You work for it. You got your diploma. You deserved it. And now nobody can take it away from you. So this is for you. Enjoy it all day long. Graduation is a day that holds special meaning for all of us. For the parents, for the faculty, for the students, even for the graduation speaker. And may I say to the moms and dads up in the upper decks, this is your day too. What a feeling it is to know that you are the parent of a college graduate. I know about that because I have 2 of them in my family, my 2 daughters. And when the second one graduated, I want you to know how I felt. You know how I felt? I felt like I'd just gotten an enormous pay raise. Let's give a hand to the moms and dads. And may I also say something to those of you down on the floor here, the graduates. Until you sit someday where your parents sit today, you will never know how proud they are of you. They really are, and they should be. I have just one piece of advice for the parents today. I'll have a couple of tips for the graduates here in a minute, but for the parents, just one piece of advice. Remember this: stay on good relations with these young people. They are the ones who are going to pick the nursing home for you. It's true. I also have a confession. A graduation speech is one of the easiest speeches there is to make. There is absolutely no pressure, and the reason there is no pressure is graduation is not about the speaker, it's about you. No one ever remembers what the graduation speaker says, but each of you will always remember how you felt today. It's a great feeling and a well-deserved feeling. I just want to congratulate you once again. It's also a little bit scary, but it's supposed to be. It was very scary for me in a long ago time in a faraway place called Texas Christian University. I sat where you sat. But unlike Sara Ludlow, who made such a fine speech representing your class, I did not graduate magna cum laude. For me, it was a case of thank you, Lordy. I was absolutely terrified, and there was a really good reason for this. I had specialized in Spanish. I didn't major in Spanish. I specialized. I took it, dropped it, took it, dropped it. In fact, I took 9 semesters of Spanish, including one in summer school, in order to get the 4 required semesters for graduation. In those days, and why it was, I don't know, but the grades had not been posted before graduation. And so as I'm standing in that line back there, waiting to come up and get this diploma, I had this sick feeling that someone was gonna come up there and pull me out of the line and say, I'm sorry, you didn't pass that final semester of Spanish that you needed to pass to graduate. But it was a day for me when I learned there was indeed a God. Kindly old Dr. Romaningi, who had been my Spanish professor, apparently believed that mercy took precedence over justice, or maybe he was just tired of looking at me, but he gave me the C that I needed to graduate. So may I just take a moment here in Dr. Romaningi's honor and say, gracias a Dios. Well, now you have all reached this milestone, so let's talk a little bit about what is next. I wish I could tell you otherwise, but you are graduating into a world that is perhaps more dangerous than at any time since the Cuban Missile Crisis. We hear a lot these days as well about our crumbling infrastructure, but what I want to talk to you about today is something that is in worse shape than our roads and bridges, and that is our electoral system, the way we select the people who govern us. When I was a little boy, my grandmother thought I was going to grow up to be the President of the United States. And do you know why she thought that? Because that is what every grandmother thought her grandson would grow up to be, President of the United States. But I want to ask you this. How long has it been since you have heard someone say, I hope my child grows up to be a politician? You are more likely to hear someone ask how to get an appointment with Kim Jong-un's barber Such is the disdain with which the political class is now held. We have made the process of getting elected to public office so odious that more and more serious people are saying they no longer want to be a part of it. What we are left with too many times is no longer the best and brightest, but those who are willing to spend the countless hours of begging people for massive amounts of money. It's not their fault, but you now have to have these massive amounts of money if you're going to run for even the most insignificant office. I'm not talking that these are bad people for the most part, but they are not always our most qualified. Every year, our campaigns set new records for spending in the cottage industry that has grown up around our campaigns. Once again, last year, made a lot of people rich, and I mean that literally. Perhaps that is why it came down to an election where people, many, many people, were dissatisfied with the choice and did not really trust either candidate. I would just say this. With all the money we're spending on our campaigns now, each candidate spends around $1 billion. Are we getting a better quality of candidates than we did, say, 20 years ago? Over the last 15 years, would you say our government is operating better than it did in the previous years? What has happened to our government now that it is in total gridlock? I want to give you, and this is my opinion clearly labeled, but it is just that, I want to give you my opinion of how we got from there to here. And I want to go back to the year 1948. I was 11 years old, and in Texas, the big news was that Lyndon Johnson, who was a member of Congress, was running for the United States Senate. And the big news in our neighborhood was that he was coming to make a speech on the vacant lot where we all played baseball. And this was a really big deal in our community. And the reason it was such a big deal was this. We heard that he was coming in a helicopter, and we had never seen a helicopter. So everybody in the neighborhood went down to this vacant lot. We're standing there, and all of a sudden, up there in the sky, this airplane with no wings, and over this bullhorn, you could hear this voice, "This is your candidate for the United States Senate, Lyndon Johnson. I'll be down there in a minute." We knew at that minute how Moses felt when he realized the burning bush was talking directly at him. We didn't know if it was a politician. We didn't know if it was God. We didn't know what it was. But all of a sudden, this thing lands in this big swirl of dust. Lyndon Johnson gets out, makes this rousing speech. In the end, he takes his hat off, throws it into the crowd, and then gets back on that helicopter and flies away. I will never forget that scene. I was 11 years old. I can't even remember the commercials of the campaign last year. I don't want to. But I can remember every minute of that as if it were yesterday. It was just a wonderful, wonderful story. And I later told the story to Jake Pickle, who was a congressman who eventually was elected to Lyndon Johnson's congressional seat when Johnson was elected to the United States Senate. And Pickle said, "Oh yes, that was my job in the campaign. I was the hat catcher." And I said, "What?" He said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "Lyndon Johnson was the tightest man on the face of the earth." He said he wasn't going to waste a hat on a political event. So he said, "My job," said, "I was a student at the University of Texas. I would drive there, park, get out, stand on the front row, and he would see me, and he would throw that hat to me. Then I would take the hat, run around to the back of the helicopter, give it to him, and they'd fly on to the next." This story is all true. I love that story. But what I love about it in a serious way is the contrast it presents to the politics of that day and to the politics of this day. In those days, people who helped and ran campaigns had real jobs. They helped a campaign in a candidate because they liked the candidate, or they thought it was in their interest to be on his side, or maybe they just liked politics. But they were all amateurs. Today, what we have done is outsource all the jobs that they used to do for free to this enormous horde of consultants and gurus and strategists and I don't know what else. And that's where all this money is going. That's why these politicians, when they try to run for office, they have to go out and raise these enormous sums of money, and it requires so much of their time, they have little time to do anything else. As this cottage industry grew, it was the beginning, in my view, of the great divide that has come to separate those who run for office and those who purport to serve. When LBJ came to our neighborhood, we got to see him. But more important, I think, as the years have gone by, I've come to believe, he got to see us. He got to know who we were. Today's politicians depend on consultants to tell them who the people are they are trying to get the votes from. When those people who used to do all of this for free were on the winning side, and this is very, very important, they shared the thrill of victory and what comes with winning. But when they lost, they had to go back into the community and live with their loss. They were a little more careful with the charges they alleged during the campaign, knowing they might get beat and they'd have to go back into those same communities. Today, the consultants who design these awful campaigns don't have to worry about that. They just collect the money and then move on to the next campaign. My friend Tom Friedman, the New York Times columnist, told me of going to a convention of advertising people. And they were talking about various ad strategies, and someone talked about, well, why don't we start using negative advertising like they do in politics? They said, you know, for example, if Burger King really wants to sell more hamburgers than McDonald's, they should go negative, went one strategy. Alleged that McDonald's hamburgers contained Ebola bacteria or rat droppings or some such. And then a wiser voice spoke up and explained, we are not trying to destroy the industry to the point that people will stop eating hamburgers. We're just trying to sell more burgers than McDonald's. I wonder if that is what we have managed to do in our politics, is the negativity of these campaigns destroying our whole political system rather than just helping or hurting individual politicians. I don't think we've destroyed it yet, but I think it is badly damaged. There are many reforms that we have to bring to our political system, some easy, some not so much. We have to somehow put a rein on these tremendous amounts of money that are required to run. We have to reform the districting systems that have made the people who, once they get there in office, it becomes an incumbent protection society. You can't get them out. By 1975, in the wake of Watergate, 32 individuals had gone to prison or had paid sustained fines for campaign law violations. Today, every single thing they were found guilty of is now legal. We're going backward, not forward. But the first step, and this is why I want to talk directly to you today, to political reform, is political courage. And this is where you come in. I sincerely urge you to not only consider public service when you leave the university, but to think seriously down the road about running for office. Whatever your party, whatever your preference or your political persuasion is not important. What this system urgently needs now is an influx of smart, serious young people who understand that the point of government is to improve the lives of our citizens. If it doesn't do that, there's no other reason for having it. Those who understand the words of that great fictional detective, Harry Bosch, and if you like murder mysteries, you know who Harry Bosch is. Harry once said the purpose of the police department has to have the philosophy, unless everybody counts, nobody counts. That needs to be the point and why people want to serve in public office. The great worry of so many in public office today, I'm sorry to say, is they're afraid that if they do something that will cause them to get a primary opponent in the next election, it's not worth doing. I ask you today, do any of us really believe that was the concern of the brave people who founded this country? They faced challenges far greater than those faced by today's leaders, but they were not worried about political survival. They were worried about being hanged, and yet they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to a cause that was greater than themselves, what became the United States of America. A superpower cannot remain a superpower when its government remains in constant gridlock because elected officials are concerned that they may face a primary opponent. When Lyndon Johnson took on his own party against unbelievable odds to pass the 1964 Civil Rights Bill, and someone asked why he was willing to risk his own political survival to do that, he said, because that is what the presidency is for. Every generation faces its own challenges, and no challenge comes without risk. You are here today because of the courage of generations who were some of the most courageous people in the history of the world, who were not afraid to cross an ocean, not knowing for sure what was on the other side of the ocean once they got there. And once they got there, were not afraid to cross this great continent, who confronted the Nazis, the greatest evil the world has ever known, because they knew that if they did not, their children would live in a new dark age. To meet the challenges of your time, you must begin, in my opinion, by restoring our politics to the place it used to be, the place where honorable people come together to work out the ways to improve the lives of all our citizens, the place where the best and brightest want to be, and that's who you are. If you remember nothing else, thank you. If you remember nothing else that I have said today, remember this: you are fortunate because you are an American, and America is a place where dreams can still come true, and you must always work to keep it so. Treasure always. Thank you. Treasure always those who encourage you to follow your dream. They are your true friends, and forget those who tried to talk you out of it. They are not worth worrying about. Remember as well to help those who have been less fortunate than yourselves. And there is a great difference in helping and advising. Herman Melville once said, of all the preposterous assumptions of humanity over humanity, nothing exceeds most of the criticism of the habits of the poor by the well-housed, the well-warmed, and the well-fed. Always remember that. In this age of contradictions where it is so hard to believe in anything, believe in yourself. You can do that by remembering why you feel so good today. It's not because you have a piece of paper that says you've graduated from college. It's because you set out to do something and you did it. It's because you have enriched your intellect and your learning by things you didn't know, and because you enriched your life with the friendships that always come from a shared experience of a worthwhile task. So do your best, expect much of yourself, and remember always true greatness comes not from the battles we win, but the battles we choose to fight. You'll soon forget what I said today, but you will remember always what you felt today. I thank you. The world needs you. May God bless you.
Thank you, Bob Schieffer. We are so honored that you would be with us today to celebrate our students' accomplishments. I also want to thank Bill Marcroft, Carole Mikita, Rich Kendell, and welcome them into the Thunderbird family as honorary degree recipients. All of today's recipients are remarkable examples of well-lived lives. You can see our previous degree recipients on page 10 of your program. Sometime today, if you have a minute to look through that. And now, I'm proud to invite to the podium Southern Utah University's Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Bradley Cook, and Associate Provost, Dr. James Sage, to make your graduation official.
As good as that was, this is why we're here. Are you ready? The Board of Regents of the state of Utah has authorized Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, and Associate of Applied Science degrees, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies, Bachelor of Music, and Bachelor of Science degrees, as well as master's degree programs in accountancy, arts administration, business administration, cybersecurity, education, music technology, professional communication, public administration, and sports conditioning and performance at Southern Utah University. Associate Provost Dr. James Sage will present the candidates for those associate, bachelor's, and master's degree. Dr. Sage.
Would the candidates for graduation with associate degrees please rise? Provost Cook, these students will, within the time specified, fulfill all the requirements for an associate's degree. Their candidacy has been approved by the university faculty. I therefore recommend these respective associate degrees be conferred on them upon completion of requirements.
Upon fulfilling all of the requirements for the associate degree, you have the recommendation of this faculty that you now be graduated. And so by virtue of the authority delegated by the Utah State Board of Regents, now confer upon you the appropriate associate degree in your field of study. You may be seated.
Would the candidates for graduation with bachelor's degrees please rise? Provost Cook, these students will, within the time specified, fulfill all the requirements for a bachelor's degree. Their candidacy has been approved by the university faculty. I therefore recommend these respective bachelor's degrees be conferred on them upon completion of requirements.
Upon fulfilling all of the requirements for the bachelor's degree, you have the recommendation of this faculty that you be graduated. And by virtue of the authority delegated by the Utah State Board of Regents, confer upon you the appropriate bachelor's degree in your field of study. You may be seated.
Would the candidates for graduation with master's degrees please rise? Provost Cook, these students will, within the time specified, fulfill all of the requirements for a master's degree. Their candidacy has been approved by the university faculty. I therefore recommend these respective master's degrees be conferred on them upon completion of requirements.
Upon fulfilling all of the requirements for the master's degrees, you have the recommendation of this faculty that you be graduated. And by virtue of the authority delegated by the Utah State Board of Regents, I confer upon you the appropriate master's degree in your field of study. Congratulations. Thank you, Provost Sage. Please stay standing and indulge me a bit. All graduates, would you please rise? No one got here alone. You got here because of the support of faculty and of friends, of family. And I want you to identify someone within this crowd that has helped you, a faculty, a family member, a brother, a cousin, a neighbor. I want you to make eye contact with that person right now, and I want you to applaud them. Congratulations, graduates. You may be seated.
Wow, you are an awesome sight. At this time, I would like to extend to all the graduates our sincere congratulations and invite our alumni president to the podium, Scott Johnson, from the class of 1984, as he welcomes you into the SUU alumni family.
Hello, class of 2017. You did it! Congratulations. This has been an amazing day. And as everyone in the podium has said, remember, it's your day. Today, you become part of a 55,000 strong member, there's only a few of you, 55,000 strong T-Bird group of T-Bird Nation, the alumni of Southern Utah University. It's got a nice ring to it, right? You bet. For the past few years, you've had the opportunity of enjoying a very unique and challenging educational experience here at the university. You are part of the grand legacy of our fine institution. I want you to take a moment and just think of the rich and remarkable heritage of SUU. Our founders are truly legends who braved severe mountain snows and seemingly impossible odds to secure the lumber to build the first buildings here on campus. Take a moment to think about your time here. Some of you may even shed a little tear today, and that's okay. In the words of one of my favorite authors, Dr. Seuss, he says, "Don't cry because it's over, but smile because it happened." Today, as we send you into the world, I can only assure you of one thing about your future. Change will become a constant in your life. This is your time, and right now it feels very normal to you, but there really is no normal. There's only change, resistance to that change, and then more change. So my fellow T-Birds, I just want you to embrace it and enjoy it. Always be proud of who you are. Today, you are an SUU alumnus. I encourage all of you to stay involved, stay interested, stay informed, stay motivated, and please stay in touch with us at the university. We're very interested to hear of your journeys, your life's adventures, and what's going on with you. I hope that you'll really concentrate and help us all to build this unique educational legacy for generations to come. Learning lives forever, the university motto. Live by this motto, and remember, like parachutes, a mind is only effective when it's open. As an alumnus today, we've got a growing body of benefits that you can use and enjoy. Today at your individual convocations, you'll receive your SUU alumni card. I want you to take that with pride, I want you to keep it, and I want you to use it often. Now finally, as your Alumni Association President, I have the distinct privilege and honor of officially inducting you all into the Southern Utah University Alumni Association. Class of 2017, please rise. Please make sure your tassels are on the right. And at the count of 3, we're going to prepare to move our tassels from the right to left. Then you can give yourselves a nice big cheer, and you can begin the next chapter of your lives. But the one thing I want you to remember as you walk off of campus today, once a T-bird, always a T-bird. Say it with me. Once a T-bird, always a T-bird. Excellent. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
You can all sit down. Can I get the house lights up just a little bit? There we go. I can't tell you how proud I am of you and what an amazing sight this is, and I can't resist. I have to take my own picture. Here we go. Ron, you look perfect right in the middle. Okay. It is 10:34. Sara Ludlow, I'm looking at the clock, and we are 25 minutes ahead of 2 hours. SUU exceeding expectations. Bob Schieffer, our Sunday mornings are not the same without you. I have a feeling these graduates will in fact remember something of what you said to them today. I know I will, inspired by what you gave us. It is truly an honor for us that you're here. Graduates, please know that your friends here at Southern Utah University have great love for you. We look forward to rejoicing in your future successes and your individual contributions to humanity. You're going to be great. Please remember, your first job might not be your dream job. You might not make a difference in the first 6 months or a year or 2. We all start our careers at the bottom and gradually work up. Things take time. When we say you're going to be very successful and change the world, we don't mean or expect you to do that tomorrow or next month. We might not even expect you to do it next year. Please be patient with yourself and be patient with others. Remember, weeds grow quickly, but beautiful trees grow slowly. Be okay if you grow slowly. You are going to be great. We're so proud of you. We look forward to your wonderful life ahead of you. Please stay in touch. Thanks to all those who participated in these exercises. Special thank you to Vice President Mindy Benson and the Commencement Committee and crew for organizing these ceremonies. Dr. Dan Freza, our announcer, the amazing facilities team who make our campus look so beautiful. Congratulations. This morning's meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, and Godspeed.
Please stand and remain in your seats as the platform guests recess from the centrum.